living on the water is the only life we know. Yo ho ho ho, it's time for the Boaty Show.
Dealing with spars must be a whole thing in and of itself.
Yep.
I mean, you don't think about it because you do it all the time, but
right.
Big crane gets it off, but then what do you do with this thing that's
Yep.
like 100 and...
Well, most of the mass that we deal with, we can deal with our own equipment, and that's that crane that's on the back of the travel
Okay.
right there.
Yeah.
But with the really big ones like this, we just call in, a huge crane with operator, and we work with the same people most of the time. So really good communication between the rigging guys and the crane operators. Sometimes we do manual labor.
Yeah, we're looking at three folks carrying a big wooden...
Want to lend a hand?
Yeah, I'll get in there.
You want a hand, guys? No?
Huh.
Yeah. So, Katrinka, she was built in the 1960s, designed by Bill Tripp Jr. And I remember this boat, and you probably remember this boat too, from down in Long Island Sound. Yeah. A friend of mine growing up was the boat boy for this boat, so we were all really jealous because this was the hot racing machine of its day, and so it showed up here, and it was in really tough shape.
What? So built in the 60s, showed up here when?
Well, we relaunched it in 2008, so it was 2007 it showed up here, and it was really shot. And we ended up actually cutting the deck completely off. The deck was, fiberglass and balsa core, and the balsa was just, you could wring water out of it. It was so compromised, and so we actually cut right at the shear and lifted the whole deck off of it, cut it off the bulkheads and all that kind of stuff, and took it away and flipped it upside down and completely rebuilt the deck from the underside, with new coring and glass and all that kind of stuff.
So you preserved the skin?
Yeah, we preserved the exterior skin.
Yeah.
But recoring and then reglassing on the inside. Meanwhile, we completely gutted the hull and then added some structural stuff on the inside to stiffen it up some. All new, completely gutted it. It was
down to the laminate.
Right down to the glass. Not a bulkhead in it anywhere, anything like that.
Yeah.
And then rebuilt it from...
Did you take any of the existing molded structural members out, or was it there weren't any and you just... Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there was a lot of things holding it together,
but maybe not
holding the shape together. But then we came right back in with the bulkheads and all that kind of stuff, and that then she was stable as a hull, and then put in a whole new interior using basically the same design layout as what had been there to start with a few changes here and there, and of course everything all new equipment, we put it came in as a sloop, and we put it back to its original sail configuration, which was a ketch.
And a ketch is a mast behind the cockpit?
No.
The second?
A ketch has the mizzen mast in front of the rudder post.
In front of the rudder post.
A yawl has it behind the rudder post.
Okay.
So you can see where the rudder post is.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit ahead. Kind of see that white thing up top there?
Yeah.
So that's a Dorade vent. So the mizzen.
Oh, wrong way. Exactly wrong way.
And so we put it back as a catch. And one of the cool things as I said, we did some new and different things. We put up into the mizzen, we put a shower. So if you went swimming, you could.
There was a winch for the halyard and a on-off nozzle for the shower.
Yeah. Well, actually, the on-off nozzle was right down inside that white Durade vent there. So my brother was captain of this boat for a little while, Manning.
Yep.
And they were racing down in Newport, and this boat, Marielle, big, classic, big long bowsprit, came, took the mizzen right out, and all of a sudden water just straight up.
The water line for the shower, which nobody could understand, I'm sure. They thought like cartoon sinking.
So the reason that she'd started out as a catch, but came here as a sloop. The reason that she came here as a sloop because she did an end over in the Gulf Stream one time and lost the mizzen, and then just stayed a sloop after that.
End over meaning just got rolled or pole pitched from the front?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, she's 50, 60?
48.
48?
Yeah.
So buried the bow, flipped over.
Yeah, flipped right over. So anyways, the owner of the boat just said, you know what? I think God wants this to be a sloop. So now, in place of where the mizzen was, there's a radar post that goes up there. And we put the shower into the radar post.
Once you put a shower in a mast,
it's got to go back.
Yeah. Just something I'm noticing. So we were just looking at Senator Kerry's boat.
Yeah.
That story, there is keep it going. Yeah. Even if it's a fiberglass hull.
Yep.
But these boats are significant, and they've been around for a long time and get used hard, and so you keep it going.
It's an interesting story with this particular one. We've done a lot of restorations, but with this particular one, they had shopped this. The people bought it and they wanted to restore it, and they had gone to boat yards in southern New England and up the coast, and every one of them would say, well, we could build it for you new for less money, and they'd say no. And they finally got here, and Steve went, sure. Why not?
As I've followed Brooklyn over the years, there seems to be a lot of projects that probably other people looked at, gave a ridiculous price because they didn't really want to take it on, but Brooklyn was like, yeah, okay.
Well, not necessarily that they gave it a ridiculous price because they didn't want to take it on, but that's what it was going to cost.
Right.
Watch yourself. How you doing, Darb?
Ducking spars.
Yeah.
And
but that's what they figure it would cost, and maybe once or twice we put in a bid that was maybe a touch too low, but more often than not we'd come in right about where we figure we're going to come in.
So did that help make the reputation and then sort of some of the business of Brooklyn, like that, taking on those kinds of much more complex, involved restoration jobs?
That does help a lot. I mean, there's some, and you'll see some pictures of other ones that we've done in the past. But like the restoration of Aphrodite, which was a 72-foot Purdy Boat Company commuter boat. That boat has been a fixture of New England waters for decades.
Yeah.
And to then sort of fix that up, do a complete restoration of it, and then throw that back in the water, and everybody just goes, jaws just drop.
Yeah.
That and other examples like that, really make a name.
Almost like a halo project that then, halo meaning it sort of casts a glow.
Oh yeah.
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 they're like architects have those projects too, where they'll do something and then it is of such note that okay, yeah. You know, my friend, one of my best friends, Cedric, he talks about if he gets a house in Architectural Digest, then
that's the halo of it.
But also the complexity and the technicality of it for people who understand what happened, not just the how pretty it is after the fact. So like looking
all
at
the nitty gritty of we had to take this out and put that one back in.
the problem solving, right? Like it's not like you peel the deck off of a 48-foot fiberglass boat 5 times a year. Like maybe you've done that a few times.
A few times.
A real cool project that got a lot of press was the boating, or was it the Frank Gehry project?
Well, the Frank Gehry project, it was.
Speaking of architects.
Yeah, speaking of architects, the boat Foggy. I forget what year we built her in right now. We'll see when we go upstairs. But the boat itself, the actual sort of vessel, naval architecture side of things, was from Herman Frères, who's a noted yacht designer. But the boat was being built for, and the aesthetics taken care of by Frank Gehry, the architect, who, I don't know if you're familiar with his works, but not the joke, but almost the reality of it is, how does Frank Gehry design a building? And he takes a piece of paper and he crumples it up and says, "Build that."
Yeah.
So you'll see as we go upstairs and stuff, you'll see pictures of that and just the crazy kind of stuff that we ended up doing to transform his ideas up here to actually being able to work in the real world, and not just as a static building, but something that sails really fast.
Takes varying loads.
Yeah.
Lasts over time.
Right. Right. So, anyways, this, we still do. This is the rigging deck here. When I came here, the travel lift that was here was not as wide as this one, and not as long, and all this area that's decked over here was just open, and at low tide it was just mud down the bottom. When we got the project for Beckwith, which was a Bob Stevens designed 91-footer, we had to, in order to be able to launch it, we needed to build a bigger travel lift and get a bigger travel lift. So we did, and a good investment anyways. And so then we were looking at this area here, and he said, well, while we're at it, because we were always fighting for, riggers were always fighting for space in the yard to be able to set up spars and that sort of thing. So we just decked this all over, and now we can set up, 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5, sometimes 6 spars, depending upon the size. And it's right next to where they need to be in order to get lifted up. And, we'll have the boat in the travel lift like that. Pick it up with the crane, swing it around, drop it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and to be able to set up a project and not have to move it at the end of the day, or because somebody else needs to come through.
Because I'm coming through with the travel lift.
Right.
Yeah. When I first came here, I had to set up Goshawk spars over there, and they took up pretty much the whole length.
Got it.
Of that. So, yeah.
I'm really drawn to that space.
What's that?
I'm really drawn to that space.
It's a great spot.
Yeah.
I mean, it really
so
works well.
it's an L-shaped triangle decking right next to the travel lift with, big sturdy sawhorses and.
Yep. Hey, Jace.
John, how are you?
Good.
Yeah. Being able to set a project up, walk away from it, and come back is a luxury.
Yeah. And it's nice. I mean, we've got everything that we need right here to do everything. We've got water, so in the springtime, run the hose all the way out, wash it, soap it down, get it all cleaned up, everything like that. So.
Is there a varnish shed for the spars?
Yeah, right in here. So,
Nice leading question.
so the buildings either have numbers or names.
Okay.
So that the tallest part of that is number 1, and then the lean-to part of it is 1.5, and this is 2, and this is 2.5, and 2.5 is where we store the wooden spars, and all the varnishing of the wooden spars or painting, if they need to be painted, is done in here.
This is like a
Oh, lovely.
visual ASMR.
Ruggie, have you ever met my wife?
Hi, Ruggie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Ruggie's met.
Hi.
Hey, I'm
Mary.
Jeff.
Didn't you meet Mary?
Yeah, a while back. Yeah. You know.
Heck, were you at our house when they were doing that?
What?
Oh, a bunch of people from Booth Bay came up to take a.
Oh no, you mentioned that to me. No, it was like,
Uh.
yeah, during was it one of those No,
Yeah.
was it? But no, I didn't make it up for that. No.
Yeah.
But I think we've run into each other before here or
Yeah.
there. But
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So we're looking at spars hanging from the ceiling by relatively thin lines in the workspace, and then a huge wall of racks
Yeah.
with beautifully clear finished, varnished spars
Yeah.
with all of their hardware and lines on, which is, like I said, just sort of like a visual. You should paint this, Sarah.
Yeah,
Take a
so this
photo.
is just all wooden spars. that
Right.
We store the aluminum and carbon fiber spars we put outside, but we do cover the fronts of those racks with shrink wrap over the winter to keep the worst of the weather off of them.
So all these have come off of boats that were pulled for storage in the spring, or storage in the fall,
Yep.
and got a coat before they got stored.
Yeah, well, some of them still need to get it.
Okay.
You can see like these tags here. When there's a piece of blue tape around them, that means that they've been done.
All right. So there's like a cardboard toe tag
So like Luna here,
with the boat name. Yep.
needs to be done still.
Done will mean.
Be varnished.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
sanded and varnished.
So is it always a strip and recoat, or?
No,
Depends.
it's not a strip. Very rarely do we actually strip.
Yeah.
This is just, it's just a scuff coat.
Scuff coat, okay.
You know.
And the
And then, depending upon what kind of conditions the spars and particularly the hardware is, we may either, pull the hardware and then rebed, or we may, just varnish right away.
got it. And the folks working in here have a gorgeous view south, tons of light coming in.
Tons of light coming in.
Yeah.
We've improved this over the years. It used to be very dark. There weren't as many windows, and this was just metal, and so we sprayed that white, and then when we put all the new windows in, then we put this, boards up and painted that all white. So everything's, got a lot more light than it used to have in here, and a lot more heat with the heat pump system. We've been putting those in here and there, depending upon where it needs.
Yeah.
So a lot more control over the temperature that's in here, which means a better varnish job.
I'm looking at this south-facing wall with it's 25 yards long,
Maybe something
75,
like that.
yeah, with a bench the whole way, and then a rack for most of the way holding spars. And so the windows have to kind of be snuck in, so I could see how it would be easy to not put windows in a space like this, but also how much of a benefit it has for quality and just having natural light to work by.
It's a really pleasant place.
Yeah, I like it.
It ends up being for the yard crew and a lot of the riggers. It ends up being that end ends up being the lunch spot.
Yeah, right. Huh?
Because also in the summer it can be air conditioned.
And when you're dealing with a south-facing hot day with no wind.
Right, especially out on the rigging deck, which becomes really hot because it is a metal building on the outside, and so it reflects that sunlight.
Right.
Yep.
This feels familiar to me as a space, just because I'm so used to long boaty things being on racks.
Oh, right.
With rowing shells and
Feel right at home.
yeah.
Here.
So out of the varnish shed.
Yep. And into the rowboat shed. Yeah.
This is a painting.
Yeah. This has been painted and photographed more than any other place on the yard.
I can imagine.
Yeah. And LL Bean has had photo shoots in here, and you name it.
Yeah.
But it's, a bunch of beetle cats
Mm-hmm.
and a bunch of, rowing boats, especially, there's some that are, more skiff-like, but a number of double-ended pea pods.
Mm-hmm. And those are a Joel design? These pea pods?
Some of them, yeah, well, the pea pod was sort of a design that went way back.
It's like a dory.
And then Joel did his version of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is one of Joel's.
So Joel White, son of E.B. White,
Yes.
founder of the Brooklin Boat Yard.
Yeah, and father of
Steve White.
Steve White.
So this is Steve White's pea pod.
This was Joel's pea pod.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
now it's Steve's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is I'm going to try my terminology. This is Carvel planked
Correct.
on bent frames,
Steam
bent frames.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look right inside this one.
Yeah. Carvel planked means the planks butt side to side. And they don't overlap? Or they don't have a lap in them for Carvel?
There is an overlap.
There is a lap. Okay.
Yeah. No, that would be strip planking, is what you're talking about.
Okay.
Where it butts up.
So it's like a half lap on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. And then caulked? Or for a little boat like this, not so much, just soaked?
Not so much, and it's cedar on oak.
Mm-hmm.
So the cedar, you can see daylight through seams sometimes. You throw it in the water, and 24 hours later, it's
Right.
dry as a bone.
So is there a big spring soaking up ceremony here?
Well, the funniest part of the spring soaking up ceremony is the beetle cats.
Yeah?
Because we'll launch we'll put the mast in them. Don't put the sails or anything on, but just put the mast and the boom on it and everything. Get it all set up on land, and then we'll launch them, and then take them out to a bunch of moorings that are right off here, which are almost dry at low tide.
Uh-huh.
And invariably every year, it'll be like lunchtime, and all these guys will be sitting out in front of the shop there,
Yeah.
right? And somebody will come running around the corner, and go, "There's a boat! There's a boat sinking over there!" And it's one of these pea pods, and it's like bow down, ass up, mast going out this way, and it's just like, yeah, okay.
It's doing its spring thing.
It's doing its spring thing.
I love that. I mean, we just walked past some serious sailing yachts, and there's also a rowboat shed with
Yeah.
with
Well,
beetle
you gotta
cats.
get out to the big yacht somehow.
Yep. Well,
And the beetle cats they're local.
okay.
And just down the harbor is the Center Harbor Yacht Club,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a fleet of 420s, like any sailing program does nowadays. But they have the beetle cats, and the kids start out in the beetle cats, and they still, they race the beetle cats, kids against adults,
Yeah.
men and women and all that kind of stuff, and it's great. And it's the same sort of thing with the next kind of boats that we'll see, which are the Herreshoff 12.5s and Joel White's version of the 12.5, the Haven. They race them as well over there. They race them against each other, as a one design fleet.
Yeah. Well, I think kids love cat boats because they're social. You can
Yeah.
put a few people in a circle and look at each other, and there isn't as much to do.
Oh yeah. Every once in a while, you'll be out on the water, and doing something on a boat, and you hear some laughter, and you look up, and there's like 4 kids, 2 beetle cats, 8 kids, and wet sponges going back and forth.
Yeah, tennis ball tag.
Yeah.
Our little 12-foot cat boat, the Rhodes Wood Pussy has
Yeah.
has a long history of being hijacked by the sailing school that
Yeah.
that the kids have taught at, and
Yeah.
I've seen it and had to swallow because there were 8, 9 of varying size, but still, and somebody definitely a couple up in front of the mast.
Yeah.
But they love to be social when they come out of the opties where they've just been by themselves,
Yeah.
to be able to sail with somebody else.
Yeah. This also becomes a great lunch spot as well.
We're looking out of the rowboat shed at double doors, wide open, and with a view, and in the foreground, mooring balls and rankers, and some good work boats down there.
Yep, those are our scow boats. Mm-hmm. We didn't. It was interesting. We never had a float right here for as long as I've been here.
Mm-hmm.
Last spring, we were still building the new docks, and so the only way that we had to get out to those docks was by a scow boat.
Mm-hmm.
And so we temporarily moored that float right straight off of there. And
So you could climb down the steps.
and we had a ramp going down.
Okay.
Well, actually, first it started out with just a ladder, and then everybody said, it's really kind of nice because dock space becomes quite a premium over there, and sometimes so many client dinghies and stuff that we didn't have a place to tie up our own, and so all of a sudden it's like, hey,
Yeah.
this works pretty well.
You're already
We said,
driving piles.
but let's put it off to one side. Hey Nick.
Put it off to one side so you don't spoil the view, or so you.
Well, to give a little more room getting in and out of the travel lift slip.
Oh, okay. I see here. Here's the opening.
And also, so that at low tide, those boats are still afloat.
Got it.
Because at low tide, this will be mud.
Oh wow! So it's still going down.
Yeah.
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 I'm so unused to tides that aren't Jersey tides, which are not dramatic in very apparent verticality like this.
Hey Nick. Nick, where are we on the tide? Is it
We're coming now.
coming?
Okay, back up
I
now.
thought it was
Yeah.
12 o'clock.
Right.
Cool.
Hey Nick. It's my wife Sarah.
Oh,
Did
Nephew
we
Jeff?
just meet?
It's Nick Bellico.
Oh, sorry. I've been meeting a few other people, so I'm sorry. I thought I met you already, but
70 of us.
You're the one with the beard wearing fleece. You're the one with the beard wearing fleece.
yeah, I know. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
He's the one in the Carhartts.
Really stands out.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I'm looking out and I see a lineman, I believe.
Yep. That's
Yep.
catnip.
Okay.
And behind it, I think, is an Arnaud Day lobster boat.
Very, very classic looking lobster
We'll take a
boat.
little harbor cruise a little later.
All right.
Get
all
into
right.
them.
Don't want to burn that content. More spars, all about spars.
Yeah,
Spars.
these are all beetle cat spars. They all get over here, and they've all been done already.
So I think it's really encouraging and maybe motivating, could be demotivating to see you clean it up and coat it in the fall,
Yeah.
right? There's a lot of
to do it in the spring.
there's a lot of debate in our little
Oh, no, do it
community
in the fall.
about whether or not you just put it away wet and deal with it later.
No.
Which I've always aspired to deal with it in the fall, but I've only ever partially dealt with stuff in the fall.
Well, if you do it in the fall, it's done.
Yeah.
You don't have to think about it at all. And when everything gets real busy in the spring, you don't have to do that. You can go do something else.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it gives it the entire winter to really
Cure.
cure.
Okay. Right.
I can just imagine, trying to do these in the spring, and you're in such a rush, you'd be maybe pushing it, and somebody will grab a spar and they'll go, ugh.
They'd leave in fingerprints.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
Unbelievable. And that's exactly where that comes from.
Bright pink beetle cat named
Yep.
Inconceivable.
So we were talking about names and numbers of buildings. This whole place used to be a processing plant or factory.
This whole boatyard.
Yeah, for sardines.
Okay.
The sardines would be caught offshore, and they'd bring them into here, and they were big. You have some pictures of it. Big long wharf that went out, and they would get offloaded. While they were coming in, though, the whistle would go off, and people would come from the town
Yeah.
to come down and work in the factory. So we call this one the factory. This is the only vestige of the old sardine plant.
Everything else has been built for boatyard since then. Okay.
Yeah. And so we call this one the factory.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And mostly smaller boats.
These are not the Haven.
No, there are.
Okay.
So along those lines, this is a bullseye, which is a fiberglass version of a Herreshoff 12.5.
What's awesome about the bullseye that I'm looking at is that it is painted in bullseye colors.
Yeah.
Red lead colored bottom paint, white top sides, and a blue deck.
Very blue deck.
Yeah.
And so here is a Herreshoff 12.5. Here. The difference between the Herreshoff 12.5s and the Joel White designed Havens is that the Havens are a centerboard boat, where the 12.5s are a full keel.
Got it. I've never sailed on a ballasted keel, full keel boat that small. Is it?
We'll try to pick out which one's a Haven here. This is 12.5. That one's 12.5. That one's 12.5. That one's a Haven back in the corner.
Okay, I see the.
You tell
I see a partial keel.
Yeah. So, partial keel.
Yeah.
Part of which is ballast. And then if you look, you look down, you'll see the centerboard trunk.
Gotcha. But a little bitty one out of the way, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't bang your head quite so much on the boom. So yeah, a number of 12.5. And this is an Atlantic, which was a Starling Burgess design.
Long, lean, overhang.
Long, lean boat.
Kind of old school in the proportions, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe the
And
overhang's not that long, actually.
Now only built in fiberglass. This one was a wooden boat. This was Steve's boat, the one that I raced with him on, and so it was a wooden boat. It was kind of falling apart, so he cold molded the outside of the boat to let it go. And now he sold it to a group of women sailors out of Blue Hill, and they're campaigning it. Yeah.
When was this design like was it in the 1930s or?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it almost has that sort
Yeah.
of look about it too.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Hello?
Good.
Hi.
So more 12.5 Havens, bullseyes. They all, this sort of shed is.
Nice launch.
This is a one design shed. I mean, there's enough boats in here to have a race. Oh my goodness.
In that.
Oh my goodness.
That is Meadows. That's the name of the boat.
Stephanie, when you see Meadows, and we'll start with video, but maybe we'll come back next fall because I think it's kind of neat to see them all together and not spread out over the harbor. Goodness gracious.
So Meadows was built by Arno Day. There's the Day family was a pretty prolific boat builders here in Brooklyn. And actually, this yard was where Joel White started as a boat builder, working as a boat builder for Arno Day.
Okay.
And then Arno sold him the yard and became Brooklin Boat Yard in 1960. So the name for this boat, Meadows, it comes from, this is the story. It's that it was husband and wife. The wife wanted a butler. The husband wanted a boat. So he named the boat Meadows because,
It's a nice butlery name.
Typical butler. Oh, Meadows. So that's
Cocktails, Meadows,
Yeah.
something.
so that's the story of the name of the boat.
There's so many good, like somehow the compromise ended up being a boat stories.
Yeah.
So my dad, my mom wanted an engagement ring and my dad wanted a boat.
Yeah.
And so she got a town class as an engagement present.
I can't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking about the names and stuff, and so and the one in the middle is the White House, because Joel White,
Okay. Yeah.
right? And then this next one, Max Kennedy's boat Glide came up here for a big refit, and it was done in this building, so this just became, next to the White House would be the Kennedy compound.
Clearly. Yeah. I'm really I'm in sync with the sense of humor.
Yeah. So that's a whole episode down there with Hattie, huh?
Oh, that was fantastic. What a neat man.
This is, the name of the boat is Sweet Olive.
Okay.
Joel White design, built here, double plank cedar on oak. So that's the surface of a wood boat.
God.
I know. Isn't it wild?
The fairing, or maybe even lack thereof.
Yeah. Well, double plank helps, because they're staggered.
Yeah.
And so that helps a lot.
And it's
Bill?
so this is all paint all the time in here
All paint and varnish.
and varnish. Okay.
Yeah. Who do you got working with you now, Bill, that Nellie's done? Who do you got working with you now that Nellie's
Kenny.
done? Who? Kenny?
Yep.
So green olive, built here
Yep.
to Joel's design.
So Joel White's design.
What era?
1960s, I think, if I remember correctly.
Full keel, or is that not full keel, or is that partial?
That's full keel,
Okay.
keel hung rudder. Here's a sloop rig.
Keel hung rudder. Got it.
Spent a lot of its time up in Nova Scotia, and then back down here, and then it's a husband-wife that own it, and they come up pretty early in the spring and back here, sort of mid-September, but they're on it the whole summer.
Going. Keel hung rudder.
This is the service carpenter's abode.
Service carpentry meaning boat comes in for service. This is where that happens, versus
Yeah,
okay.
as opposed to the main shop
Okay.
with new construction.
Got it.
These guys mostly focus on, projects with service boats.
Okay.
Sometimes, guys move back and forth just depending upon where things are needed. So more often than, it's probably more often that we have a big service operation. And so it becomes that the guys who would be doing new boat construction then come over to that.
Okay.
But it's pretty much two service carpenters full-time
Gotcha.
year-round.
Year round. Okay.
Although,
Man,
In the summertime, unless there's a big restoration project or something like that, that's when a lot of the guys will take their time off
that's nice.
because all the boats are away.
Yeah, the point is to not be working on a boat
Like
in the
you
summer.
take almost a month off, don't you, Bill, in the summer?
I used to take August off. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't this year.
Yeah.
There's actually so much going on this summer here that,
Yeah.
plenty of work, so.
Bill, it's my nephew Jeff.
Hey, nice to meet you.
No, there's a lot of work going on here this summer.
Yeah.
Didn't get a whole lot of time off.
Well, I hope you get a break when you need it.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
This is do you know who Peter Chrysley is? He's from up your neck of the woods, Thousand Islands.
Steph may
Yeah.
easily know him. Yeah.
Anyways, he's Thousand Islands and Florida.
Okay.
West Coast Florida. And he designed this hull,
Peter Chrysley,
Peter Chrysley.
Thousand Islands in Florida.
And we built him a hull. And then he finished off his. We built him a hull and deck, and then he finished it off. But we had the right to use his design. And so we built this boat it's 32 feet. 32 feet of the hull. When you add all this back here, it's more like 36 or something like that, or even more, 38. And it's essentially an express cruiser.
Yeah.
With two 250 outboards on the back. And top end is like 51, 52 knots, something like that.
Relatively narrow for her length.
Yeah.
I mean, for modern standards.
Yeah. Well, as opposed to the big gnarly.
Yeah. Am I right that that's a little bit of Carolina?
There's more than a little bit of Carolina flair.
Yeah.
In the bow.
Right.
And for Steph, there's tumble home in the back.
It's not flag blue with a white stripe, but
It's not.
no, but there is tumble home. She's got an eye for that, like reverse shear toward the bow, flare toward the bow, I would say.
A little, just a touch of reverse shear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, just yeah,
And not
barely.
overly flared like
Right.
some of the real Carolina boats
Right.
become.
God, that looks like a nice place to be. That express layout.
East Carolina 32.
There you go, Stephanie. We gotta get you one of these.
So she's got a nice interior, enclosed head. The galley is sort of actually up in the cockpit. And it's not really a galley, it's more of a picnic gallery.
Is this a new build now, or is this a service on a
We
build?
built this a few years ago. Yeah.
It's a nice
Yeah.
boat. I have so much more of an appreciation these days for anything that is narrow for its length,
Yeah.
aesthetically, but also just in how they perform.
Right.
Right. God, it's gorgeous.
Okay, now one of your holy shit moments.
Wait, let's do a little. I'll have to do a little bit of a video reveal.
Well, it takes a while to see it.
Okay. This is a holy shit moment.
Yeah. I mean, there's these little boats down here and stuff, and then there's
Shit. It's like an involuntary holy shit. Oh my God. It looks fast even in the air in this shed.
yeah.
Holy. Oh. Wow. That is an all business keel. Not that any keel is like meant to look shapely, but dude, I'm just trying to get my head wrapped around this. Oh man, the run out is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
Obviously, everything you see shot is wet. Yeah. How you doing? Good.
Hey, I'm Jeff.
I'm Phil.
Hey, Phil. Nice to meet you.
Just like your father.
Yeah, I got one. I got a Phil.
Yeah.
So what's the story here?
This is designed by Boating Partners. Boating Partners is a yacht design firm in Spain, started by a fellow by the name of Marcelino Botín. They pretty much specialize in race boat sailboats, but they do a lot of production design for racer cruiser types and stuff like that. We've built 3 boats with them now.
You built this?
Yeah, we built this. The first one was named Taroa, and it was actually built for Marcelino Botín as his own personal boat. And I don't know where it is now, but they've been cruising the boat around the whole world. She was 72 feet plus whatever the bowsprit was doing. This is the second boat that we built with Botín Partners for a real nice guy, great racer. And this is, the name of this boat is Outlier, and she is a Botín 55.
Okay.
And so it's 55 plus, plus the bowsprit.
So this would race in a handicapped race of some sort?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Mostly what she's racing in is under the CRF. CRF rule, which is a classic race formula.
Okay.
And so she goes into, they have a bunch of different divisions in there. So there's like vintage and classic and, modern and contemporary and all this kind of stuff. So she races in the, I think, contemporary class.
I mean, I want to try and describe.
But she also races, in under PHRF, Performance Handicap Racing Formula, against other, glass boats and
just straight up open.
and other race boats, that kind of stuff.
Like more of an open class or a real light formula?
Just like a regular handicap fleet.
Got it.
Where you got J24s sailing against Swan 50s.
Okay. I barely understand handicapping. We do it for the kids' regatta at the end of the summer.
Yeah.
And there's one person who understands all the rules, and Joel. Josh. Josh does the handicapping.
Yeah.
So I took a video, but for people who are just listening to this, I'm looking up at an incredibly sleek yacht hull that's a solid 10, 12 feet in the air at the bottom of it, and on a huge welded steel cradle. And from bow to stern, perfectly plumb bow, waterline starts all the way out at the cutwater, and then just sweeps pretty narrow for the first quarter, and then opens out.
Carries the beam pretty well aft.
Carries the beam really well aft, and then meaning that like narrow for the first quarter, then gets beamy and stays beamy, and the run out at the stern is there's no overhang basically. Based on the bottom pane at least, the water is meant to exit at the transom, and the keel is a massive foil with a huge torpedo of ballast at the bottom that's got like kind of some evil looking shapes to it. Or like I said all business earlier, but some sort of, defense industry look to it. I mean, it looks like a cruise missile or something like that. That's really neat to see in here.
Yeah.
And cold molded, so this is laid up out of veneers.
Unfortunately, I can't get you up on top right now, but we can show you some pictures of it, because then you look at it on deck and it's teak deck. Nice low square house, varnish mahogany. All that kind of stuff. But
Racer cruiser or really just racer?
really just racer.
Okay.
Yeah, it races with a crew of about 15.
And we'll go out for like a campaign for a season.
Yeah, based out of Nantucket. And so they'll race in Narragansett Bay, Newport, Martha's Vineyard, Nantucket, and then come up here and do, the 3-race series. Actually, she's come up for the classic Camden Classics, which is the weekend before the Eggemont Reach Regatta, and then comes over and does the 3-race series that culminates in the Reach Regatta, and then goes back down to Nantucket to do Opera House, and then whatever else is down that way.
How much of that crew will race all of those races?
All of them.
Okay, got it.
It's a team.
It's effectively a professional crew for that season. Yeah.
Pretty much.
All right.
Yeah. You got some of the best sailmakers in the country on it.
That's neat. Just going to take a quick video to say, okay, here's this massive thing in the air, but the variety in here, go from that to, Shellback dinghy. That's another, is that a Joel or a Steve?
Joel White design.
Okay. See this beautiful, pretty old.
It's an international 500 yawl. And earlier in the day, Sarah was talking about that this guy came in and I gave her the card with the autograph for
Yes, the folk singer.
Dan Fogelberg.
Dan Fogelberg.
This was Dan Fogelberg's
Oh. And you told her today that maybe she could
Yeah.
get close to Dan Fogelberg's boat, if not Dan Fogelberg. And this looks,
I forget what, I think she's a Dark Harbor 20 or whatever it is. I'm pretty sure.
gotcha. Quite a variety.
There's so many boats, they're so similar, you know. Sometimes you just kind of leave
Yeah,
it.
I think you're doing great, all that considered. Well, and the sort of, I don't know if I could call it that, but maybe there was a peak era of wooden sailing
30s and 40s.
30s and 40s, and so there are a lot of significant boats from that time that have
Yeah.
been preserved
Yeah.
and are still used, and so
Yeah.
that's what we're seeing over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. The long overhang versus the short waterline thing.
Yeah.
I don't know my understanding is that was there was a rule, and that was the most advantageous way.
Because the water line being part of that rule, and so depending upon the equation for the boat, the shorter the water line, the better your rating could be. But as soon as you started sailing the boat and heel over, your water line increases dramatically, and so again, playing with the rules.
So waterline at rest versus waterline.
Actual sailing water line.
Yeah.
Underneath here is a Harrishoff 12.5.
An original.
Original, yeah, that we're restoring. Needs a lot of work. Of all the floors that were in the boat, these are the only ones that are good. There's a stack about that big that we need to make new. Probably a few frames. Planking actually looks pretty good.
What year?
Probably 30s, 40s, something like that. But since the weekend's coming on and it's a heated floor, got it covered over and sawdust and water down below to keep it from drying out.
Okay.
We don't want it to dry out too much.
So you said weekend's coming on. That means it's going to sit.
It's going to sit here over the weekend.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. And during the week, it'll get sponged.
During the week, it'll be worked on, and we'll occasionally throw a little bit of water down underneath it.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know what they're doing up here this weekend either. Sometimes if there's painting going on, that like spray painting, cover stuff up just in case.
Gotcha. So this was what was flipped
This is the flip.
last week or the week before.
About a couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago, yeah.
And this is a 56-foot sloop. It'll be for world cruising with a special emphasis on being able to go scuba diving and surfing. So a big part of the interior design and sort of the working interior is storage space for surfboards, storage space for dive tanks, compressors, wetsuits, everything that goes along with that.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be out in the middle of nowhere, and so they have to be self-sufficient that way.
Is that a new design brief for Brooklin Boat Yard?
It's just every single boat that we build has little oddities. I need this, I need that.
That's why they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this case, it's surfing and scuba diving.
So the loft up there, what does that get used for? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's the biggest
Air
air tank I've ever seen.
This is an old fiberglass Choi Lee, and I guess it belongs to a guy down on Deer Isle who had sailed it all his life, all over the place, and he wants to put it back in the kind of shape it was when he first got it new.
Good man.
Yeah, good man.
Keep it going.
Yep.
I love
So
keeping
we're
stuff
putting new
going.
decks on it.
Choi Lee, that was Taiwan builder,
Yeah.
Taiwanese builder.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can always tell the Choi Lees by the filigree
Okay.
ends of the coast right there.
Yeah.
So we took up the decks, new deck down, Dynel cloth over, and then that'll get painted with non-skid, primed and painted with non-skid. Strip down all the wood on the side, fixed a few things here and there, so that's going back over. It's coming along pretty well.
Yeah.
Yep. Hi, Jimmy. So yeah, built this upside down, brought it out, rolled it over.
It's stupendous to see it up close.
Interior is going in.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were asking about the mezzanines and stuff. This whole shop, all of this is meant to be taken apart, moved around, reconfigured. As a matter of fact, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose this in a while. This boat's going to get moved over there, and get put on its keel, so it's going to be a lot taller. So this boat will be over here being worked on.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, over here on this side, we're going to start on another boat, which will be another of the Wheeler 55 powerboats, which we just recently launched. Syntax.
What's the design name of this, or is it a one-off?
We're just calling it. We're calling it the Green 56, not because that's the name of the people who are
Buying it. Okay.
But it's a Mark Fitzgerald design.
Fitzgerald. Okay.
And Mark was the real nuts and bolts of the Chuck Payne design group in Camden.
And we're looking at the inside of 3 layers?
Well, actually, look here, Jim. 'Cause this is where you can really see it. So this is tongue and groove cedar.
Yeah.
And that's what you see on the inside, all there.
Tongue and
And
groove
then
cedar.
it looks like these are mahogany layers. I'm not sure, but so then you get these veneers, like 1/8-inch veneers.
Yeah.
That are going, diagonal, diagonal, diagonal.
Okay.
And then on the outside, then you've got a longitudinal layer, this layer here, of mahogany. And then you've got this skin of glass that goes on the outside. The glass doesn't really add that much in the way of structural strength, but it's good for puncture resistance and rubbing up against docks and rather than against here.
Yeah.
And it's also a super substrate for painting.
Right.
Because it'll all get whatever.
So that's a cold molded layup.
That's cold molded layout.
Is that a typical?
That's pretty typical for an all wood layout. Some of the other boats we do, and I'll show you some examples of using foams, carbons, other things like that. It all just depends on what the boat is, what's it intended to be used for, not all that different from what Hattie was talking about rowing.
Yeah.
You know, it's what are you going to use the boat for? So this is the way we should build it.
Right.
And all the frames are laminated. So when it starts out, it's just like a skeleton upside down, and then this layer goes on, then that one, then that one, then that one, and that one, and then we take it out and roll it right side up.
How much temporary molding is there?
There's a fair bit.
So
A lot of it gets knocked out. You know, once we get it out, still upside down, then we get underneath and start pulling stuff out.
Okay.
Roll it right side up. And
so those would be temporary molds that were lofted and stood up on to make the skeleton.
just to get the hull shape.
Yeah. And I would say that a decent amount of the interior bulkheading that ends up being stiffening as well.
Oh yeah, it's all part of it.
Yeah. Okay.
So like I said, this was, you know, it's all going to get moved around and stuff.
Yeah.
When we were building the boat Foggy, we built the whole deck over here, and that was wider than it is now. And so the hull was down here. The opening was not as wide as the deck. So, you know, picked it up, moved it over, tilted it, put it down. Like
Lowered it
that.
on. All with that gantry.
Yeah. A lot of interior furniture gets built here.
Yeah.
Up here. Steering wheels.
Oh wow, that's cool. So those are molds for the steering wheel laminates.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm Jeff. No, don't worry about it.
How are you, Jeff? Where are you from?
Philadelphia and the Thousand Islands up in New York.
Wonderful.
What you working on?
These are fiddles that are going to go around the boat. This is for shelves, interior shelves, and these fellows that are shorter are going to be on top of counters and things like that.
Okay, so cabinetry, finish on the cabinetry. Yeah.
This is
A new rudder.
yes.
Oh wow.
So
Who's that for?
I believe it's the boat right down below us.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
And Brian Larkin has been doing this. It's good to see him on the boat. He's the president over.
Good to see him out
Yeah.
in the sawdust.
In the sawdust. Yeah. He enjoys it too.
Yeah.
But,
That is really neat.
I'm sorry, I thought that was an animal you had in your hand.
It's my it's a recorder. You thought I was holding my ferret the whole time.
Actually, I've got, we have border terriers, and we have a puppy, and she has, her hair just looks just like this. My other one is perfectly groomed and handsome. This one, we've got one looks just like that. So, oh my God, what is that?
I have a boat podcast, and John was he's a fan, and he was kind enough to invite me to come down
Wonderful.
and learn as much as I can share
What
with
is
my
your
people.
podcast?
It's called The Boaty Show.
Okay, I'll look you up. Sir.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, it's fun. Thank you. My co-host Stephanie her head would be exploding if she were here right now. So she had some other commitments and couldn't come, but we'll have her back.
Oh, please do.
Yeah.
This is such a special spot. It really is. Not only do we do really interesting work, but we've got a great crew.
Yeah. That's been my takeaway.
And it's really fun to work here. I don't see anybody dogging it.
Yeah.
And if they do, they don't last.
Yeah.
John can attest to that. We just take them by the...
There's always an outgoing tide for them.
Well, anyway,
So it's nice to meet you.
You too.
Yeah. I'm really glad you were very, very accepting of me with my my.
Your pet.
Service animal.
Get on.
You didn't even blink. You're like, oh hello. That's really good. Have a good day.
Knew somebody who knew Star Blackwood?
Yeah, my friend Sam Diston is buds with him. Sam's in the Merchant Marine. He's over in
Castine.
Well, he's in Castine, but he's now he's on the boat now. He's engineer, and he is in and around Taiwan on a ammunition replenishing ship. So
Yeah. Oh, nice.
yeah,
Yeah, that's Star.
got it.
And this is that Frank Gehry design.
Oh,
We'll see some parts and pieces for that.
I remember following a bit of that getting built.
And actually, Star's the one who really, Star and this guy here are the ones that really built that whole deck.
So they had to go from Geary's shapes to
real life.
and there's glass in that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not one of those openings is the same as another. Every single one is individual.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
it's not just in the deck. This was a test piece for that. So that's carbon and carbon there. So, you know, you were asking
Good Lord.
about
Yeah, about different layout.
other materials.
Wow.
When we make test panels, we send them up to the Wood Products Laboratory at the University of Maine.
Uh-huh.
They break this.
Okay. So they'll back your engineering.
Yep. That thing is heavy because it's mostly solids. But with this foam core and carbon here, it's really light.
Foam, carbon cloth.
Yep. So this is the inside of the boat here.
Wow, for what
Yeah.
it is and how strong
That's
it is.
amazing, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. It's such a wild mix of skill that it takes to pull this off, and versatility, and then creativity, because you know
Here are the boys.
you've seen things once.
So this is design office, and also our CFO lives in the corner over there, and I live in that corner over there.
Nice.
My red light is blinking, but I'm not going to touch it.
Nope, it's fine. That'll wait.
And you know, we saw Outlier.
Yeah.
Well, this is Taroa, which was the boat that we built before that for Marcelina Boatine, and 72 plus.
Plus a spread. So you had said when we were in the White House that there were teak decks and a really nice
Yeah, well, in the toy box.
toy box.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, you know, in a similar fashion.
Yeah.
That's how Outlier looks.
Huh. And then Aphrodite we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah,
that's
that was a complete restoration. It was really interesting because I had started to talk to Steve White about coming over here and working, and I was doing a lot of boat delivery stuff, that sort of thing.
Not at all.
Cool. Is that the boat on the floor now?
This is the boat on the floor, yeah.
John said that this was meant for long distance cruising, adventure surfing.
Yes. Yeah. He's got dive tanks, air compressor, surfboards, all that kind of stuff. I have mostly been working on interior, so basically this is a nice way for, you know, in one sense, you can look at a drawing and say, hey, this is what your boat looks like.
Yeah.
And if you're used to looking at drawings, then
You can.
kind of make sense. And but even if you're used to looking at drawings, it's still nice to see it like this, and you're like, oh, okay, that's what it's supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
So that rendering can go to the customer. They can see.
They like, they do what we're doing now.
Okay.
They look over my shoulder
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, I was thinking we wanted this in this space. And then, you know, and it's like, oh, maybe we can put a locker here, and I haven't cut it in. And we can just start playing, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the forward cabin, dresser, berth, all that.
It must be really satisfying to be able to do that with a customer because you're
Oh my God, yeah.
you're able to interact at the level of the space, the life of the space,
Yeah.
all of the engineering or all of the very detailed design that you've got to do underneath that is sort of, it's based on what they see themselves in already. It's cool.
Yeah, I love it. My favorite thing is modeling. I like 3D modeling a lot.
Yeah.
And
In the right line of work, then
yeah, and it's fun, and it's fun because it's so much easier to look at it like this and say, oh, what if we did this? What if we did that? And I think what tends to happen is, they'll approve 2D drawings and then they don't really know what it is until they actually see the actual boat.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's surprises there.
How early on in the process are you doing those renderings off of the original design?
Well, this is the first boat that I've done.
Oh, okay.
So I can't really say how it usually goes.
Uh-huh.
I came in halfway through the previous project
Okay.
to this one. So that was really my first, but this is my first being here from the beginning.
Cool.
So in this sense, but it's kind of hard to say how things usually go, not just because I'm relatively new, but also because
That's not this place.
Things go differently all the time.
all the time. I mean, it's not just a different boat, but then it's like, are there owners plus a captain? Is there owners plus an outside naval architect, or owners plus an owner's rep?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the relationship could be,
Keith, you need to get in
we could be
here?
the designer and the builder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We might just be the builder. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And like what information we get from the outside designer could be that and nothing else, or it could be more flushed out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's really hard to say how things usually go.
That's not even talking about the variable of the project. That's talking about the variable of all the people around the project.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Huh.
I forgot I had these on.
Now you look great. It's an audio format.
Yeah. What this means is I'm working.
Yeah,
you know,
clearly,
like,
clearly.
This means I'm on the clock.
That means that like we're interrupting you.
No. That's not what I meant. I mean, in an ideal world, I would love it if, Will's extremely talented, and he's in a meeting right now. He is, but yeah, what I would love to see is like, Will even said yesterday he's more 2D centric and I'm much more 3D centric, but you can get a proposal. I mean, he's really good. So he does all the new proposals and all the design from scratch, and I would love it to be kind of the next in line. He can do that, take it there, and then if that's not enough to sell the project, then I could rip through the 3D pretty quick. A 2D proposal, a 3D proposal, a 3D proposal,
Yeah.
and then this isn't just a pretty picture, it's how they actually build it. So there's a corner post. Each of these pieces is
Sorry?
a piece of wood that is the size that they're going to make.
You're clicking on the cabinetry under a sink, and every panel you click on looks like sort of a build spec or some representation of the actual.
What I'm saying,
Piece
yeah,
comes
what
up.
I'm saying is how they actually make it
Yeah.
is like this. There's going to be a piece of wood that is that.
Yep.
So basically, it's not really a representation of what it's going to be. It is what it's going to be. So then I can pull the 2D off of it, like for the drawings.
Well, if I'm a customer, then I see, oh, okay, your bid actually is based on
Yeah.
almost a cut list from this.
Well, that's the thing. So out there, all of these bulkheads and the V-groove was CNC. So once it's, that's the other thing about 3D modeling is like whatever you want to send to a CNC that it makes sense to send, you can send it. And then that's one value add. The second value add is obviously the people can see it better and understand what they're going to get at the end. That's the third value add is when I go to make construction drawings for the guys on how to build it, I'm modeling it the way they're going to build it, so I can just pull the 2D from it, and then they'll build it that way. So it takes some time to do it this way, but if you extract all the value you can out of it, then for me, in my opinion, it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I mean, an hour here could turn into
Like weeks saved.
Right.
Yeah, like all those CNC bulkheads with the V grooving and all that stuff that came in. It's like 3D Legos. I mean, literally.
I saw the puzzle piece cutouts that I've seen in like just in kit boats before.
Oh yeah.
But you're putting that in for a custom.
Yeah, and other little things like, oh gosh, what's an example? I think this piece here. So this panel came in as a single cut piece.
Yeah.
It cuts around. It's cutting around frames that are up there, and it has a notch there for an existing bulkhead that's in the boat. So they know like exactly.
Oh,
where.
so you've tabbed it into the
I've tabbed
layout.
it in. Yes, yeah. So they can just drop it.
Cool.
I mean, after they. Yeah. So. Yeah.
It's a real multiplier. Thank you very much for the enthusiasm, and the information.
Oh yeah, dude, I love it. I mean, it's so exciting.
What's your name one more time?
Julian.
Julian. Nice to meet you, Jeff.
Yeah, you too, Jeff.
Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. So you guys are a family of boat lovers, not just a family.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're all a little.
I know, there's
Something's a little wrong with all of you.
Yes. You don't even.
that's perfect. Yeah.
That was just a really nice way to put something that you don't even want to know about.
Yeah. His father is my older brother, and man,
Okay.
I have nightmares still. No. I was.
That won't be edited out.
No. Oh no. Phil Pennington
Oh, no,
is my
yeah.
brother. My older brother who's.
Yeah, no, I grew up bareboat chartering on the Chesapeake and small boat rowing, and so I've been on the water pretty much my whole life. And now we have a cottage in upstate New York in the Thousand Islands on the St. Lawrence River, which is a fresh. I mean, in some ways, when I look out here, it's almost like a freshwater version of a stretch of this coast, and
Is
that
that
like
right?
all of the featured coastline and the plate, like you don't have to go very far to be in a completely different
Yes.
pocket that you've
Right.
never seen before.
That's what these guys. I mean, I actually I grew up near here, but we weren't boat people when I was a kid, so I didn't really know what was out here. But I am somewhat familiar with the area. But even Brian, who's been here forever, and he's been out there
Yeah.
forever, and he was like, "You'll never
Yeah.
see all there is to see out there because there's so many nooks and crannies, and it's like to experience an island, you got to stay all the way around it." Yeah.
And the variable of the
Yeah.
tide here means is that you could maybe not be able to see something at low tide, but at high tide you could tuck in. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's always an adventure, getting on the water. I think that's why storytelling and boats always go together.
Yeah.
Really.
If you've noticed that,
Yeah.
it's because every time you go out, you get a unique. Yeah, yeah,
It's always an adventure.
it
I
is.
would-
Great sea stories.
And also, for me, it's also a big part of place and people because, it's all water, but it's always there's our different cultural influences, different weather, and so you put people, boats, and water together, and it's not the same everywhere you go. It's very different.
Yeah, totally.
Bye, Dan. Thanks.
Okay.
Take care. Nice to meet you. See you around.
Bye.
See you guys Monday.
Yo ho ho, that's it for the boating show. Pack the cooler, grab the lines, let's go, go, go. Yo